So I feel for a lot of you, I see you have, your battle paint on, armor on, and especially I feel like you're about to head into something, and I keep seeing like quality control. Okay, so I feel like some of you are in a position where you come on the aftermath of something. So after a major catastrophe, a major situation happens, you either come in to clean up other people's mess, or you have to do some type of quality control associated with that mess. And I feel that you're doing God's work. You're doing things that people don't want to do. And I feel for some of you, it might be a physical thing, like it's something that is physically taxing. And then for others of you, I feel that it is a mental thing. Like you could be a PR for like a public relations specialist for like a company that is not very ethical. And so you have to do the cleanup. You have to represent the company. You have to explain to the public why things happen the way that they did. And you have to fluff up the image. And I feel coming through for this month, you're confronted with a major dilemma. And I honestly feel that some of you are sick and tired of having to clean up after other people. Okay. And so moving forward, I feel that you have a major decision to decide on. And you can decide to continue where you are because there's a lot of stability involved and a lot of people depend on you. You're very good at what you do. And there's going to be, long-term career potential, like growth in that career track. And so if you keep as you've been doing, financially, it's very stable. And it's very good for security, which is something that, you love, okay? But on an emotional level, it might not it might not be good for you anymore. So you're not feeling it anymore. You're very good at what you do though, but you might not feel any joy and contentment in doing the work because you feel like you have to clean up other people's messes, okay? And then the other option that you're choosing between, we have here the Lover. So another option is work that might not be financially stable from 1 month to the next, from 1 year to the next, but it's also spiritually enriching. It's spiritually ethical. It's spiritually in alignment with what you want. Okay. So you're deciding whether or not to take a pay cut in order to do something that you love. And then some of you are deciding as well between, whether or not working for money, slaving away for money is going to be detrimental to your spiritual growth. So some of you are honestly, I feel like concerned about spirituality, concerning about your path, concerning about where you need to be so that you can be the best, Cancerian person that you can be. And so I feel like there are major ethical dilemmas coming through for this month. There are major reassessment overall when it comes to the work that you're doing and whether or not that work represents your values, whether or not the work aligns with, what you believe in, aligns with your moral compass. And other people might tell you, why are you taking a pay cut? Why do you want to do this job? It requires getting your hands dirty. It doesn't pay enough. It requires a lot of hardship. And you're just like, because it's the noble thing to do. It's the right thing to do. And I really commend those of you who are thinking that way because I feel like you're going to be able to see a lot of traction, like make a lot of traction in the world, make a difference in a lot of people's lives. I see some of you, like things are going to accelerate for you where you can actually make it a career and you're going to rise really quickly. And so what I feel coming through here is, as a water sign, okay? And this is also for Pisces, also for Scorpio. Overall, you are highly intuitive. And so when that, when that inner voice creeps up and it tells you something's wrong here, we need to take stock. We need to reassess. It's basically telling you that spiritually, you're not where you need to be. You're not where you're meant to be. And so I feel that, you get these nudges because you're a water sign. And when you ignore these nudges, when you don't follow your intuition, a lot of the times too, you might find yourself very, very stuck. Okay. And you might find yourself stuck is an understatement. This is the Ten of Swords, and this is a sword about actions and consequences. This is a card about betrayal. This is a card about, I feel honestly in this spread, it represents like selling ourselves out, okay? Selling our values out and not aligning strongly with the things that we believe in. So in a way, it can be a very karmic card that basically indicates choices and repercussions. And so I feel that some of you have important major decisions to make here. And I feel that you want to make the decision that really, speaks to you on the emotional, spiritual basis. Because as a water sign, you really can't deny that part of yourself. Okay? And the other thing I'm sensing here is this. So this is the card that represents you. Okay, so I basically split all the cards into the major. I selected the major arcana that represents each of the sign. So then I can shuffle it and figure out which sign I need to start these readings on, so that it can provide you with guidance. And going back to the card that represents you, in life, overall, across the board, we're always going to be caught in dilemmas. Okay, do we do this? Do we do that? Do we try to do the right thing, or do we indulge a little bit? So there are always going to be these temptations. There are always going to be these dilemmas, right? But you want your heart and your mind to be in the same place. That's the only way you're going to be able to move forward, right? The Chariot requires both of these animals to work in concerted effort. Okay, so think of it as your heart and your mind. Think of it as, the physical world and the spiritual world. You want both of these things to be aligned so that you can make the most progress forward. And so these things are not going to go away. Making this decision here doesn't mean that, everything's going to be all fine and dandy. These dilemmas might come up again. These temptations will come up again as well. But we want to do the honorable thing. We want to be like a major player, like a major arcana, rather than dabbling in, the minor arcana and thinking about short-term gains at the expense of long-term, success. Okay, so think long-term for this month. I guess that's the overriding message. Okay. And then thinking about long-term, where you're headed and what you're hoping to achieve. Because I feel like some of you, I'm seeing like two sets of people. The first one is you're in a position of power, right? Like you might be like a financier. You might have a lot of people coming to you and telling you, do you want to get involved in this project? Or they're pitching an idea to you so that you can get involved with them. Okay. And then I see other groups of Cancerian people either going to a financial institution or a specific person like a financier or an authority figure and pitching something to them. And you're telling them like, hey, I need like this much, in money, or I need this much in investment. I need this much in startup capital in order for me to fund this project. So I feel like, it can go one of two ways. Like you're the one making the decision to decide on whom to invest, or deciding on which project to invest, or you're on the other end where you're soliciting investment funds. You're soliciting like somebody for a loan. And either way, it's basically telling you realistically to have a very logical and a very, like, I guess, practical time frame. You want to really lay out, okay, so here's what I'm going to do for the next month. Here's when the financial resources will be, recouped. And here's how long it's going to take me to, pay back the loan. So I feel that you want to be as clear, as clean cut, as linear in your time frame projection as you can be, okay? Because I feel like this is something that your word might tell other people, here's what I am projecting it to look like. And if you're off the mark, it's not going to reflect well on your credibility in the future, right? So I feel that you have some heavy legwork that you need to do in terms of like setting out some solid time frame, either for work or time frame either for your own personal, whatever it is. Okay, so time frame for house repairs, time frame for getting things done. So you need to be as realistic as you can, and to err on the side of caution. So that means you might need to extend the time frame a little bit further. That way you can, if if there are snags along the road, if there are problems, then at least you have a little bit of buffer for that time frame. Does that make sense? So I feel like there is stringent planning that is necessary for many of you. I feel like there's a job coming through for those of you who have been working. And I feel like you're dealing with an interviewer or a boss or a supervisor in the new job that is a little bit more, practical, cerebral, very, very like a stickler for rules. So I feel like the environment is very structured. You might say it's a little bit rigid, but I feel that it's a very functional, like a work environment where things are done very well. There's high productivity. So I feel that it's going to be different from wherever you were working before. If you had like a lot more creative, um, if they gave you a lot of creative allowances to do, whatever it is that you want, if no one is really watching over your back, if you can come and go as you want, if you have a lot of leeway in the previous work environment. The new work environment is very rigid. It seems to me like they recruited a bunch of new talent, and so they're changing things from the top down. And so I feel like there's a lot of room to grow in this new work environment. The starting out salary might be a little bit less than what you're used to, but I feel that this is a really good environment to be in, because whoever you're working with, as long as you do your job, this person is a stickler for rules. As long as you do your job, as long as you work hard, they will, they will advocate for you. Okay, so you're dealing with somebody who wants to reward people who work hard. So as long as you can do that, things will be good. So there's a really good connection here between you and whoever is interviewing you, or whoever is going to be your immediate supervisor in the new work environment. And so it's really important for you to emphasize your productivity, emphasize how you're able to streamline work processes, how you're able to enhance and increase efficiency. Okay. And they're going to ask you follow-up questions. So, needless to say, don't fib on interviews. But I feel that emphasizing these things will make you a really standout candidate. Okay.